why don't we jump into some of the automation trends this year, Tolani, all right? Because we read a lot of articles, we get a lot of information from resources we all subscribe to, and automation, of course, at the center of enterprise technology stack. So can you please comment on a few that I just discovered? What about convergence of automation platforms? Right now, it's quite a complex space, right? Because every organization need to pick and choose technology and methodology, and of course, the right stack that works for them. So convergence, do you see it in the future?
Yes, there's a lot going on at the moment, and all of the existing platforms, like automation platforms, are converging into intelligent automation, which is quite glaring. Everyone is beginning to think about, solutions, vertical solutions for it. If you look at your typical RPA, your traditional RPA started as, being traditional, doing screen scraping. Now, right, most of the automation vendors have opportunities for IDP, right? They have IDP platforms, they have process mining platforms, and all of this platform, because there's been that gap, and that organizations can see. Even vendors could see it as well, and this low code RP and all of this is actually helping. Pulling them together. It's not just one platform. I'm sorry to say, but even though some platforms will sell different products, but it doesn't mean that you're getting the best of both worlds. It's almost like you need to handpick some of these platforms. And actually, I prefer to build my intelligent automation platform, as opposed to buying into one vendor, because that requires you to get locked in into one vendor. But you're choosing, but again, this requires a bit of expertise. You can't choose without really knowing so much about the platforms. So this requires a bit of expertise. But the best is you can unpick. I need RPI, I can take Blue Prism, or I need open source, I can use open source. I need this, I need that, and that's where your enterprise architect really comes into place, helping you to choose the right platform that would help your business to grow.
And we cannot escape, Talani, talking about intelligent automation without mentioning explicitly AI, right? The rising AI continues to expand. So what can be automated now? I mean, something new that we could not do, 5, 10 years ago?
I always say automation has been, it's been there for a while. You had, since the Industrial Revolution, there's been automation. But I think it became much more glaring when AI came into the picture, right? People forget that, we've been automating for a while. And, but, I think why it became so glaring with AI is the fact that AI was actually coming to the white collar jobs. So meaning it's in the office, you're saying, you could be co-working with AI at this point. So it became very glaring that AI can do more. And in terms of some of these technologies we're talking about, intelligent automation, the reason why it's called intelligent is because there's AI involved. AI is helping businesses to make more decisions, right? Faster decisions. And this is also a good example of why IDP is there, right? When you talk about IDP, you're looking at different components that make up an IDP solution. You're talking about machine learning, you're talking about computer vision, you're talking about NLP. All of this technology can do different justice, right? And you're looking at with IDP, for example, like you could be getting accuracy depending on the kind of documents you're looking at. You will be getting up to 95% accuracy. And this is something that this, I think people can't really phantom how AI is really penetrating to the white collar job. But the idea is to really augment workers, not replace them, to augment their decision making, to help them make some more informed, can co-work with them, like your chatbots and all of that, to help them make more decisions, to make much more intelligence. There's a lot of intelligence that need to come from AI, and that's why some of the other technologies, your ERP and all of that, have been going through a lot of phases, because it's all rule based, but AI is really, really helping with decision making.
Yeah, well, last topic I wanted to kind of probe you on enterprise automation, because one thing we know, right, one project, right, one initiative at a time, showing early success, demonstrating what's possible, right, and growing from there. You mentioned center of excellence, right? Some organizations using hubs automation hubs technology, right? So how do you approach the enterprise wide automation, because the stakes are high, the cost is high, cost of implementing, cost of technology, cost of hiring people. So any few helpful tips out there?
I think the financial industry, again, my advice would be a lot for the financial industry. There's a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of heavy lifting, there's a lot of work to be done. And, when enterprises are looking at, automation, they need to think strategic, as opposed to very, tactical thinking, because at the end of the day, you want to invest into a technology. Are you going to invest into technology and just spend all your time doing proof of concept? Rubbish, You probably want to invest and start getting returns, few months, few weeks, you probably want to start seeing a lot of, return on investment. And when companies start looking at enterprise wide automation, is completely different, and this sometimes doesn't let like things like your citizen development to thrive, because enterprise automation would always be very rigid. Everything has to be done a particular way, and we need governance cannot be overemphasized. So for an enterprise level, you need, governance, you need your center of excellence, you need people responsible for what. So it's not like you expect one person to do different tasks. You actually really need people to be assigned to one task and pulling in their weight. So, and this comes in from the, from the perspective of your center of excellence. What are your center of excellence helping you to do, right? Your center of excellence is bringing all this talent in, right? Your center of excellence has your business analyst. Your center of excellence have your project managers, all these people that can help you execute, your developers, testers, or whatever you want to call them, that can help you execute any project. They help even, with innovation. They help with governance. They help with standards. So it's always best for, companies to actually to delegate some of the responsibilities to a center of excellence. And your center of excellence keeps your platform going. You have, and they're also supported by IT. It doesn't really matter where your center of excellence sits. Some companies will have their center of excellence sits within the business, while some will have within IT. It doesn't really matter where they sit, but what they do is very paramount to the success of your automation program, right? And if you're going to think about enterprise level, anything enterprise, to me, it sounds like scale. You're going to start thinking about how to scale, and you need the right people to scale. You need the right technology to scale. You need people that have the technical know-how to scale. You need people with the business that are business savvy to scale. So it's a combination of different people, and bringing them all together, I would always prefer like a center of excellence. It doesn't really mean there are other ways to organize people, but a center of excellence just helps you to channel so much of your effort.
Tolani, thank you so very much for your time today. I had tremendously, wonderful time speaking with you. As takeaways, in conclusion, would you leave our audiences with few takeaways? It could be technical, it could be business, it could be enterprise-wise advice. What do we want, audience to remember about automation 2022? What's coming or what's already happening?
I think the first thing I want people to remember is democratization. We've gotten to that point where automation needs to be democratized. It's already happening, but I would always advise to get involved with this. There's so many things happening within the space. Democratization coming from the open source technologies. It's opening up a new opportunity for companies to to get into automation, even for SME as well. Democratization is very important. Then even governance and security. Governance and security can never be an afterthought. It's been an afterthought for some companies, and they're going through the they're going through the effect, and they're suffering at the moment. But governance and security can never be an afterthought. If you're thinking of going into intelligent automation, you definitely need security. You definitely need to think about ethics as well. You're thinking about AI, you need to think about ethics, about what your company can do with data. Because at the very end, we're talking about customer data. What can your companies do with the data, with the right permission? So going into that mindset of how are we going to transform? When you think about intelligent automation, you should think about digital transformation. So transformation has to be the involvement of everybody, not just IT. It needs to be pushed top down, from bottom up, whatever approach, but everyone needs to pull in their weight and really transform the company.